Well, just posted a shorts video where I'd broken a spoke on my 66mm deep V tubular wheels, and we had a few comments and a bit of discussion, and we got on the fact of like broken spokes and disc wheels. And this is one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of disc brakes. So let's roll that intro and let's find out why that is the case, why I'm not too keen on low spoked, high performance disc brake wheels. I'm back up here at Crimea Park in Morley, West Australia, and there's like people everywhere. It's such a fantastic day. I think it's going to be a real hottie today. And we've got kids on the playgrounds, we've got people playing tennis, we've got people playing baseball, we've got men's baseball on the one oval, and we've got the women's baseball on the other oval. So it's really, you can just hear the noise in the background. People are really enjoying themselves on this Sunday here in Perth, West Australia. Well, while I'm watching all these people enjoying my coffee, we can have a bit of a chat about spokes and low spoke wheels on disc brake bikes. Now, let's just break it down. When we have a disc brake wheel, the braking device is at the hub. It's not at the rim. So you have to transfer those forces from the hub to the rim to the tyre, which is in contact with the ground, to slow the bike up. And to do that, the spokes need to be cross-spoked. You can't transfer that load with radial spokes, and that's why if you look at a disc brake bike, you'll see the front wheel has some spokes that are cross-spoked. Now, quite often they use a combination of radial spoking and cross-spoking, and the G3 from Campagnolia does that, and also some of the other brands. I do believe the Roval does that, and they're generally 21 spokes. They don't tend to go lower than that unless you're probably getting a custom build, but the commercial ones, the lowest I've seen is 21 spokes. So they have 14 generally cross-spoked, and they have 7 that are radial spoked. So we have 7 spokes that are radial spoked. Now, because they're radial, they can't transfer any of the braking forces from the hub to the rim to the tyre, which is in contact with the ground. So that only leaves us with 14 spokes. And of those 14 spokes, one of them is cross-spoked in one direction and the other one is cross-spoked in the other direction. So depending on the rotation of the wheel, they will either be detensioning or tensioning. Now, when we apply the brakes on the front wheel, what we're going to find is that only half of them will be loaded in tension to transfer that load from the hub to the rim and onto the tyre to slow the bike up. So in reality, if we have a wheel that's say a G3 design, or it's a design where there's a combination of cross-spoking and radial spoking, and we have 21 spokes, we only have 7 spokes that are actually transferring the braking force from the hub to the tyre and the rim when we're under braking. Now people might go, well, you know, what all the other spokes are doing? Well, the other spokes are actually bracing the wheel when you're just riding along in your normal format. It's giving the wheel strength. You've got the radial spokes that are giving it strength, and you have the cross-spokings that are giving it strength. But when you apply load to the hub, like on the back wheel of even like a rim brake bike, you can see there's cross-spoking and there's also dishing, and they need to cross-spoke to be able to transfer load from the hub to the rim to the tyre. So when you're pedaling, it's only those cross-spokings in the rear that are actually transferring your load to the rim and the tyre and propelling you forward. And it's the same on the front wheel, but opposite, because you're braking, you're transferring the braking force from the hub to the rim and to the tyre. Now, I know there's some people who can put out a really lot of power when they're sprinting or accelerating through those back spokes on a rear wheel when it's cross-spoked. But let's be real, not many of us, or very, very few, or even any, can put the forces through the front wheel under full braking when you're starting to lift the back wheel. It's very significant. It's hard to pedal on a bike and raise the front wheel unless you lean back to, or have a bit of a jolt to lift the front wheel up. So the forces going through that front wheel are considerable, and if you're coming down a descent and you're traveling at some speed, could be doing 60, 80, 100 kilometers an hour, and you get one of those spokes fails under heavy braking, then you've gone from 7 spokes to 6 spokes, and then if you have another one that is now extra loaded, breaks down to 5, and that cycle continue, and the less spokes you have, the more load they're actually having to take as they fail, and your wheel can basically just catastrophically fail. And this is one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of disc brake wheels, because of this reason. Now, yeah, you can argue it may not happen that often, and generally that failure rate is pretty low, which it is, but they're really building these wheels on their limit. And I actually did do a video where a spoke wheel, disc brake wheel, did catastrophically fail. So it can happen, and that's one of the reasons why I don't like disc brake lightweight wheels on bikes, because the failure can lead to you being seriously injured. It's like the integrated handlebar system. If that fork steerer fails, you're going to face plant the tarmac. The result or injury that can occur is pretty bad. Whilst if you have like a back wheel that fails, or a spokes, or the back wheel catastrophically fails, you're probably going to fall off your bike, but you're not going to, the front of the bike is not going to collapse, and you're not going to face plant or lose steering of the bike. So that's the reason why, and I hope that explains it. I know we had a bit of a going backwards and forwards in the comments, but I hope that explains that answer to why or how disc brake low spoke count lightweight wheels are really, I believe anyway, probably a little bit more dangerous than a rim brake front wheel. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to leave it. And if you've got anything to add or any other questions relating to how that wheel works, just leave them down below and I'll see if I can answer them. Okay, guys, that's where I'm going to leave it, and I'll catch you next vid. Cheers.